Making its Blu-ray 4K UHD debut from Arrow Films is 1995's 12 Monkeys from Terry Gilliam. This was the big studio, big budget, big star Terry Gilliam movie from that year, as opposed to the other Terry Gilliam movie with Bruce Willis from that year. At any rate, it's Bruce Willis, it's Brad Pitt, and it's Madeline Stowe, and they are trying to fight off an apocalypse. It's based on Chris Marker's La Jetée short film from the 60s, loosely based on that, although Chris Marker apparently was a consultant on this, or was consulted about this movie. And it's a dystopian, very Gilliam future where some plague has wiped out a lot of the world, and it's not a great place to be. So the scientists and powers that be send Bruce Willis back in time, not in a DeLorean, but in a weird full-body rubber suit in a tube, and he's sent back to try to figure out what starts this disease apocalypse and stop it. And he basically is seen as a crazy person, or I don't remember all the particulars, but he spends some time in a mental hospital where he meets Brad Pitt, who plays sort of an integral role in this film. And it's just very interesting time travel, race against the clock, apocalyptic film, and a pretty different role for Bruce Willis. He's not the two-gun action hero. He's sort of a confused guy who has this vague memory of something when he was a kid that may tie into all of this hoo-ha. Trying to bring that back, the word hoo-ha, the phrase hoo-ha, the two words with a dash in between them. Hoo-ha. At any rate, 12 Monkeys is good. I've actually reviewed this before when Arrow put out the regular Blu-ray, so if you want an in-depth analysis of 12 Monkeys, just find my other review. This is the 4K, and it looks great. Terry Gilliam movies are very design-wise, oftentimes little bits and pieces. And in 4K, you can see those little bits and pieces that much more clearly and appreciate the really ornate scrap metal set design that he has for that dystopian future, and the, I believe, Philadelphia of the contemporary setting of the movie, which would be the sort of mid-90s. So the 4K UHD, I believe it comes with a regular Blu-ray as well, and a new transfer on that 4K, so it looks really good, and a lot of extras. Now this originally had a Laserdisc set. I was back in the Laserdisc day. I was very tail end of the Laserdisc era. I was buying them because the player of the discs was cheap, and it was pre-DVD, and that was the only way to get widescreen movies and extras and things like that. And Universal had this series called the Universal Signature Edition, or Signature Series, or Signature Collection, these boxes with like this sort of not shiny, but metallic looking gray frame around them. And they were 3-4 disc sets, and they were just loaded with stuff. So some of what's on this is actually ported over from the Laserdisc, which is interesting. So some of the still frame stuff about production design and posters and sketches is the exact same thing that people saw on the Laserdisc back in, 95 or 96. So I will read to you again from this list I have here of what the extras are on this. New restoration in 4K scan of the original negative. So this is going to look better than it ever has in any edition, including the previous Arrow edition. You get your 4K UHD presentation in Dolby Vision HDR. Illustrated collector booklet with new writing on the film by Nathan Rabin and Ian Christie. Trailer, reversible sleeve with new and original art. The film exchange with Terry Gilliam, a 1996 interview with Gilliam and critic Jonathan Romney, recorded at the London Film Festival. Appreciation by Ian Christie, author of Gilliam on Gilliam, the 12 Monkeys archives. That's the stuff that came from the Laserdisc. All kinds of bits and pieces there. The Hamster Factor and Other Tales of the 12 Monkeys. This is a feature-length documentary on the making of the movie, which is quite good. It's a very fly on the wall. It's very, you are there with the production crew as they're figuring things out and scouting locations and celebrating ups and downs. It's from the people who made Lost in La Mancha, which is excellent if you've never seen it. Commentary by Gilliam and the producer, and then it talks about sound. It's got sound. So yeah, like I say with a lot of these 4K releases and an Arrow release, this trumps any version that you've had before this. If you don't have a 4K TV or player, and if you already have the last Arrow edition, you probably don't need to get this. I don't always see a major difference in my memory. I never do the A/B thing. It would be cool to do that, but I don't always have them handy to go back and forth and see the difference. Obviously, if it's 4K, it's sharper. The big advantage of 4K oftentimes is that they will do a new transfer of the film, so it will look better than what's been done before, because there's more detail to be had, and they may, you know, pull out the original colors a little bit better. That's what I notice a lot of times in new transfers. Even just a regular Blu-ray transfer, is they're going back to the original negative, which might not have been done in a while, and it tends to just look better. It looks more natural. A lot of times movies don't look as old as they are because they're pulling it from the original materials. So once again, if you're a Terry Gilliam fan, this is pretty essential. If you're a Bruce Willis fan, this is really cool, or Brad Pitt fan. And it's just a good movie. I saw this in the theater when it came out. I thought it was cool, and it's nice to be able to revisit it after so many years and see that it really still works. So available on 4K UHD and Blu-ray from Arrow Home Video is Terry Gilliam's 12 Monkeys.